Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Dark skies and Diddy. Today, the motion hearing on Diddy's long pending motions for acquittal or for a new trial. It begins at 11 a.m. and we're heading in. There have been people camped out since Tuesday in tents. Now, some have been saying he could be released today. Seems highly unlikely to me. In the sense, mostly judges rarely rule, at least in SDNY, directly after the argument. And even if somehow full acquittal, then they would ask for him to be held over for another trial. It's a whole rigmarole. In any event, we're going to be live tweeting it, and it should be interesting in part because there's a First Amendment argument, which is that if all of the encounters between the male entertainers, quote unquote, male escorts, dancers, and Cassie and Jane were in fact videotaped, is it covered by the First Amendment? So he's asked for the government to address that. So I don't know how long it's going to go, but we're going to do it. We're covering the UN at the same time, so it's a little tricky. Of course, we can't get into the UN, so we're doing it virtually. That's actually caught fire. I will say that this Japan thing has legs. The idea that as Prime Minister Ishiba spoke, Foreign Minister Iwaya, I-W-A-Y-A, seemed quite seriously to be sleeping. And then we've asked the mission. Here's the real killer. The Japanese mission. I remember when I was in the UN, before Antonio Guterres saw fit to have Inner City Press ousted for questioning his financial disclosures. Not only did Japan answer questions, they used to do briefings. They fell over themselves to be solicitous to answer the press. Now they can't even answer when Japanese media has picked up Inner City Press's reporting about the sleeping foreign minister. So a fish really does rot from the head. When Antonio Guterres, basically these countries, these missions are all a big scam. They all talk about freedom and rule of law and freedom of the press. But if one corrupt leader of the UN says this media's got to go, they all just look the other way. Well, we're not. We're pushing. I said it was a litmus test. It's a litmus test that the UN is failing. But our reporting goes on. We reported on, interestingly enough, Paraguay, out of nowhere, brought up Charlie Kirk. So that was a hat tip. There's been a lot of things. There's about to be Mahmoud Abbas by video, so we're going to try to cover that. But the big thing is coming up. Now, what else can we say? The NYCHA cases, the old New York City Housing Project cases, 70 guys were indicted. There's 4 left out there, including a Garth Small, who's going to trial. Garth Small, he's going to trial. And he's saying that these contractors, semi-cooperators, contractors, are not to be believed. So we're going to cover that trial. It was overcharged. Here's a case that may be, I don't want to say undercharged, undercovered. La Luz del Mundo. This church from Guadalajara, Mexico is really something. We covered the presentment and arraignment of Nahon Garcia yesterday, but I've learned a lot more about it, including some guys over there in Mexico have been arrested with weapons. This is a hell of a church, and we're going to cover that case very closely. But today, as you can see from the photographers and the people that were out in the tents and the tents across the street, today it's Diddy Day, and we're going in.